Hi y'all, my name is Megan. Welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, as the title suggests, I am doing 10 book reviews in 10 minutes. I've been reading a lot of books lately, especially since it's the summertime, and I wanted to give you guys some of my hot takes on some of books that I have read. But yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so let's just get started. The first book that I have is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. This is Daisy Jones and the Six. This one is probably the most popular book I have read in the last year or so because obviously it got turned into a show. It's just been completely blowing up. Anyway, she's doing amazing. As far as the book itself, I would honestly give this book 4.5 stars out of 5. It's one of the better reads that I've had in the last few years. The plot is really engaging. I really loved the characters. And I feel like even as someone who hasn't exactly gone through being in a band and being famous, I can relate to a lot of stuff that's in the book. And it also has a really good plot twist, just like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But I would highly recommend this one. One of my favorite books of hers, of the ones that I've read. The next book I have, y'all, is another Taylor Jenkins Reid book. And this one is super popular, and honestly, I'm gonna be frank, I don't really understand why. Honestly, I feel like the beginning of this book was the best. Like, when we got to learn about the characters' backstories, especially about June's story, who's the mom of the main character in this book. But as it went on, it just felt kind of forced. I didn't like the resolution that they came to. I felt like the characters weren't real. It didn't feel, everything just felt really fake. And I didn't really see any spark in the writing beyond like the first 100 pages. I know that's kind of brutal, but honestly, it was more of just like a brain empty read. Like, it was just something fun, but it didn't make me feel anything. So unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to give this one, I'm gonna say a 3. My next review that I've got is The End of Her by Shari Lapena. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I read this one about a year ago. It came out in 2020, and it is a murder mystery, and this is honestly one of my new favorite authors. It was really engaging, awesome storyline, an awesome story between kind of like a wife who's doubting her husband and then the husband's perspective. And there was a really big plot twist at the end, which I'm always a huge sucker for. And I got some of her sequels, which I'm really excited to read. So after this one, I want to take a look at her other ones. I would honestly recommend this, especially if you like really compelling storylines and very tense and dark storylines. 4.5 out of 5, maybe even 5 out of 5. All right, y'all, this is the next book that I read recently. This is The Alice Network. This one I just finished a few days ago. It follows a girl who's looking for her cousin, and she meets a World War I spy, and it kind of follows how their paths intertwine throughout both world wars. I would highly recommend this one. I really liked it. The one thing is that the writing was honestly not super dynamic, and some of it felt a little bit elementary. I'm not saying I'm a really good writer, but I just felt like it could have been spruced up a little bit more. But I really like this one. Probably would give it 4.5 stars, 4 stars out of 5. All right, y'all, this is the next book that I read. This is The Final Girl Support Group. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I got this at a bookstore because it was like a staff pick for horror. My first time ever reading horror, and I did not like it. I put it down after about 50 to 100 pages, which I know you're probably not supposed to do. You're probably supposed to stick it out, but I really could not stay engaged with this one. It was really droning. I would not recommend. This author, Grady Hendrix, he's pretty famous, so I'm honestly kind of surprised that I didn't really like it. My first time hearing about him, and I will not be giving this a second go. 1 star out of 5. This is the next book that I have, y'all. This is The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. I read this one about 2 years ago, but it's honestly been one of my favorites. The plot reminds me a lot of The Last of Us, with kind of a virus that's spreading through town and how it affects people. And basically it makes people fall asleep and they don't wake up. I would highly recommend this one. It follows a few different characters, but I really like this one. It had a lot of interesting plot twists. But yeah, I would highly recommend this one. It was a really fun read. Probably 4 stars out of 5. All right, y'all. These next two books are by one of my all-time favorite authors, Agatha Christie. I'm a sucker for her books. This one I read about a month ago, Death in the Clouds. Really good, awesome, fast read. Not one of her best books, I would say, but it was still highly entertaining. It's a murder that takes place on an airplane, and Hercule Poirot, the world-famous Agatha Christie detective, has to solve it. But I like this one. It was interesting, very interesting way that the crime was committed. But it's not one of my favorite books, and because of that, I'd probably give it 4 stars. It's between 3.5 and 4. It was pretty good. Quick read. But just because I've read some of her other books, which I liked more, I would say that this one was a little bit lower on the tier for me. And the next book that I have, you guys, is not here with me, but it is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Again, one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I reread this for a class a few months ago, but I originally first read it, I think maybe 5 years ago, and it's honestly really awesome. One of my favorite Agatha Christie books. It's a really great way to get introduced to her writing if you've never read any of her novels. Again, it's murder mystery because she is a murder mystery novelist, queen of murder mystery. And yeah, I would highly recommend. Really interesting plot twist. All of the characters are so deeply intertwined in the book, and it's not like anybody is clearly removed from suspicion of the crime, unlike in this one, I would say, Death in the Clouds. So yeah, I would highly recommend The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. It's honestly up there with Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, one of my favorite books. So I would probably give it 5 stars, if I'm being that honest. Yeah, 5 stars. The next book I have, y'all, is, you guessed it, another murder mystery. This is The Cuckoo's Calling. Can you see a pattern with me in murder mystery? This one is by Robert Galbraith. I read this one about 1.5 years ago and highly, highly, highly recommend. Basically, it follows a model who falls off of her balcony, and it's a question of whether she committed suicide or whether it was murder. And it follows kind of an underestimated detective trying to solve the case. I think it's a really interesting intersection between fame and mental health. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. It has a lot of like glamour to it, but it's also still kind of dark and mysterious. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. I read this one pretty quickly for me in about a month. So I would give this one 5 stars. And then the last book I have, y'all, I do not have with me, but it is Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley, I'm pretty sure. This one was pretty good. I first saw the movie, which honestly tainted my view of it, and then I read the book. It was one of the first modern detective stories. I think it was published in the 1990s, I want to say. It follows the black man who kind of gets involved with the wrong people and then has to solve a crime that's happening. And I really liked it. It wasn't a typical murder mystery, and it felt a lot more engaging because you actually got to talk to, or you actually got to hear from everyone, even the victim, in the story. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. It also had a very interesting conversation with race and with sexual assault. There were a lot of kind of disturbing scenes in the book, though, I would say. And it was a little bit eerie, honestly, reading after seeing the movie and being used to that. But I would recommend this one. It makes you think, which is a plus. Probably give it 4.5 stars out of 5. Okay, y'all, well, that concludes today's video. I really hope that I was able to do that in 10 minutes. I feel like I was talking so unbelievably fast, but let's hope this is 10 minutes long. But yeah, I really liked all of these books, and I hope that you guys can take a look at some of them. I honestly would highly recommend most of these. There were just a few that were not my favorite. I hope that this inspires you to get some of these new books for summer reading. And yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!